You're talking about humor being important to.
My eyes looking terrible.
That is alright. You wasn't smoking, right?
No, I wasn't smoking. My eyes are just tired.
Yeah, you do look very tired.
Should I put on my glasses then?
No, you're not a point. Come now, man. You're naturally at home.
All right, good. I'm at home.
No. I about to ask Daddy something.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about the importance of. Hey, take off that alarm now, boy.
Let me put on my glasses and then I'll feel more
Yeah.
comfortable. I can answer me then. Ask me then.
Take off that alarm now, boy. One set of noise you're making in the people's place, boy. Hey, one set of noise you're making in the place.
What you say, Chihuahua?
He name is Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
You were talking about the importance of humor and how you use humor in your videos, right? So I have always been curious about humor, and I'm curious to hear what your definition of humor is, or what's one of the things that, because I regard you as a funny kind of fella.
Really? That's funny. That's funny.
Right?
You find funny.
Yeah, I know. I regard you as a fella with you. I mean, you always had a. What is humor to you, and what's some of the importance of it to not just your own creativity, but daily life in anything that you do?
Well, but to tell you the truth, life is generally stressful. And if we can't find an avenue to release this stress, we will explode. We might explode on our loved ones, we might explode on our neighbors. So what we do is we look for little avenues out of this stress. And I think humor is one of the greatest. I grew up in a family that had a lot of humor. We had a lot of quarrels too, but we had a lot of humor.
Who you regard as the most humorous person in the family?
Me?
No, so a joke is a surprise, right?
No.
And that was a good surprise there.
Yeah, a joke is a surprise, but I think Owen had a very sharp. My brother Owen had a real sharp humor. And people might think that he was sarcastic, he might cynical, whatever you like, but he always had a joke. The Corbys who visited us, they were always full of jokes, you know. So I integrate a lot of humor. I try to do it. Some people think that I have a dry sense of humor.
So wait, humor is anything that what is your definition of humor, first of all? Anything that inspires laughter?
Anything that brings a light-hearted moment to us, to an environment. Anything that could lift gloom, anything that could lift a sense of depression, anything that could just make things better and lighter, you know. Some people like to drink, and when they drink alcohol, then they think they're on a high, and then they start being themselves. I knew a guy who used to be in trucking, and you wouldn't hear him at all. And then when he takes a couple drinks, oh, he's the world's best comedian. Yeah. But I don't believe that I need that kind of inspiration. I like funny things. I like to make people happy. I like to just have a happy environment, right? I think Louise has been a tremendous asset to me in helping me to maintain a humorous balance. You know, she enjoys my jokes, even if I make a joke on her. Unlike foreign wives, you know, sometimes we visited abroad and...
You have foreign wives?
No, not foreign wives. Sometimes a foreign wife, an American wife, for instance. A foreigner. You see, even that at all is funny, you know. I mean, you say something that is funny, and I am not offended by it. I turn it into a little laughing matter. And even if I thought that, hey, you know, Lyndon is laughing at me, I'm not going to take offense against that. That is not being thin-skinned. So humor has to be something that you're not thin-skinned about. If somebody laughs at me, something, when we're making a video, for instance, and Louis does something that might be, unusual, and somebody might think it is silly as a chef. And I say, hey man, nobody's perfect. Let's try that again and make the same mistake again. And you laugh off the situation, right? Anyway, foreign wives, like, for instance, an American woman was saying once, the things that you might say to Louise, we would be very offended. And Louise will laugh at that because
She made that as a blanket statement.
a
That
blanket, we would be offended.
Okay.
If
So
our,
is a cultural thing, you think, or that's just
No.
an individual wife maybe?
no,
way?
that's a cultural thing. Generally, it's a cultural thing.
Okay, so I don't know if this is getting into murky waters here, but if she could say that as a blanket statement about the American woman, what you would say about the average, and not to stray too much from humor, right? Because I want to get back to what are some of the elements that they could incorporate to make life a little bit lighter and enjoyable, right?
Right.
We'll get back to that in a bit. But what's your take on Trinidadian women and probably how they receive jokes? Or Trinidadian men and women? Trinis on the whole.
I think,
Not everybody is amused, huh?
well, Louis says not everybody will be amused, but I think generally, you Trinidadian women can handle it. They can handle it better. I don't know where people are talking about being politically correct, that it is invading our culture, where we don't have that kind of free conversation running. Or take for instance you. I have looked at some of your videos and you're talking there to Kim and you say something to Kim and Kim takes it in good stride. I don't believe later on when the camera is switched off that she's going to hit you with a roll.
Well, that is about it is on camera.
Right? Well, yeah. I don't think that she's going to hit you with a rolling pin. I think that generally, one of the things I'm always amazed at is that one thing I can say about West Indian women, I find them not as broad-minded on the other hand as foreign women. For instance, a woman is divorced from a man.
Yeah, that is amazing.
She's divorced from a man, or a man is divorced from a woman in foreign terms. And they could get together with their present mates and they can have a bottle of wine, they can have a meal. I don't believe that our women have matured enough or our men have matured enough to even tolerate that this is my ex and this is your ex and we go for a meal at TGI or wherever. There is this petty element of, hey boy, like you're trying a thing there again, like you want to get back inside of there. I mean, come on, man.
No matter how broad-minded a woman is, I don't think we have that, we reach that sense of maturity.
Yeah.
And you have seen it in your travels and different cultures that they're a bit open-minded about.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it in England. I've seen it in.
You think that have anything to do with the food? Alright, so let me get back to humor. And some of the things. Let me get back to humor and some of the things that you would try to incorporate in your daily life to make a moment lighter, or because one of the things you will struggle with is, I don't know how to make jokes. I'm not talking about you here. Would something be interpreted as funny? So if you had to give somebody approaches you and say, Lance, I like your sense of humor, but you and Louise have a good sense of humor going on. And what's some ways that I would like to I'd like to improve my sense of humor and enjoy more light-hearted moments with my spouse and whatnot. What's 3 things you could do to, and I'll ask you 1 or 2 things as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's 3 things you would do? Give me 1. What's 1 thing you do to increase or improve?
I believe that people need to read more, honestly. There are situations that might be pertinent to your situation, and you read and you see how people handle it, and therefore you could come out of it if you read. And there are there have been great comedians in the past, even locally, but foreign comedians have been very good. Try to sink your mentality into something that is humorous. Now I'm going to call some names here that you may think that Lance shouldn't be talking about these guys, right, for whatever reason. Johnny Carson had a late night show. You had a fellow like Don Rickles, you had Jack Benny, In our day when we had television, you would have seen these men. And these men, like Bob Hope, for instance, they made shows that were humorous. I want to believe that the President of the United States, with all his pressures that he's undergoing right now, will go home and would seek for something funny. Because your brain can't take all that jamming. Your brain needs a little outlet. It needs something to focus on, right? I lately put my hand on a Samuel Selvon short novel of short stories, right? We have Michael Cozier writing little funny things. You get into books like that, and you watch situations that are really funny, and even, I don't know if people have read Lyndon Burtice's books, and there are funny episodes in some of these books. And when you read them, we used to sit down around a table. We used to sit down in the old home in Cora there, and it was a night of jokes. Everybody had a little joke to give. So much so that we could probably number the jokes. And instead of telling the joke, we could say 55 and everybody will laugh. Because it was a funny joke. And we all indulged in having a very light-hearted environment.
So do you think that there's stuff that you could find in a book, humor, that you may not necessarily find from consuming videos, movies?
Yes, I agree with that. Books are one of the most treasured options we have. Reading is vital. Reading is vital. You may be going through a problem, and you could find it. If you read, you may find it somewhere along the line in pages, and you see how it works out.
Google it?
What? Google how to improve your humor?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think it's something that you could learn, but really and truly, a lot of, when you come to think about things that everything have structure, you know. Everything have structure, but it is in the form of a joke as well. And some of the joke structures that I learned is not necessarily from just watching a comedian that into stand-up. But you read something that someone has invested time to write and show you this is what the formula looks like. And by reading books like that, I think I get a little bit better at maybe things like Red Wall News and whatnot. So I didn't realize he would talk for so long. So is there anything that you have in terms of how you would improve your humor? Because I would take one more. I wanted to get about 5, but he talked for about 20.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, the tables turn around, because normally I do more of the talking. So in this case, it's okay.
What about taking a joke or giving a joke?
Well, as Lance mentioned, he grew up in a home with people joking a lot. Growing up with 2 older brothers, they teased me a lot. So therefore, I had to know how to, bob and weave for them. And therefore...
That was the names?
Bob and weave.
Bob and weave. I had to bob and weave. And therefore now, I never was a sensitive person.
That's good.
And I think that men are very different to women, and a woman who didn't grow up with brothers, they're at a disadvantage to really understand a husband joking. Because, you take it that he tried to tell me something.
Right.
That's not a joke. But, strangely, a guy said to us a while ago that when you're joking, that's the time to say serious things. And I find that is not a nice thing. Because hence the reason then wives will become sensitive.
Yeah, because, and even for slower people like me, right? When somebody make a joke, I just take it to be, well, he really joking. So when they come down and they say X, Y, and Z, but I tell you so and so, I say, but I thought you was joking, boy. I agree fully with what you're saying there.
Yeah, and when he said that, I said, well, maybe that's why women could be sensitive. Because to joke on serious things is not pleasurable for who you're joking.
Yes.
Now everything that Lance says to me, I know it's a joke.
At least you hope so.
Or at least I'm kind of dense.
Oh no. Don't say that.
But really, if people joke about serious things, you feel to see the humor in it. But when somebody's really joking, So maybe one way for people to improve on not being sensitive is their partner should not tease them or make jokes on serious things, because it is not a humor to the person. You then become sensitive because you telling me some, like, okay, if I can't make roti and Lance say, but what kind of roti you make here? This roti hard like rubber band. You know, a woman might be sensitive about that. Well, I know I can't make roti, so you need to
Especially
fix that.
especially if I'm telling you the truth, eh?
So exactly. But if you are a good pilau maker and Lance tease about pilau, that's a joke. So I could laugh.
So don't make Dad
Hello?
stop making jokes about mommy roti, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
But thank you very much for this conversation. Unfortunately, I have to cut it short. But I think this has a lot more value going up on all the channels, so I will upload this to all the channels for all, yeah? And I learned I learned a lot from this conversation about humor and how we all approach things. And you know, I just have one thing to say to women who can't take a joke, is that, you know, go and tell your mother make a brother for you.
Too late now to learn.